One common exercise for English learners to do is sit down and listen to an audio or video file while looking at a script. It may seem like we're practicing our listening skills, but are we really? There are a few things I'd like you to think about before you decide to start with a practice like this. The first question is, what exactly are we focusing on? Are we focusing on the listening part or the reading part? It's really difficult for us to focus on our listening and trying to understand what we're hearing, while at the same time also trying to read a text, especially if the content is difficult or is a little bit beyond our reach that we need to really focus in order to understand. So if that is the case, when you're listening to an audio while reading it, which part do you think your brain is using its power on, the listening or the reading? My guess is the reading part, because listening to a material and trying to understand what is being said requires a lot more brain power for most of us than trying to read the written form. So if that really is what's going on when we're doing this practice, then what is the purpose of a practice like this? The second question I want you to ask yourself is, am I getting too reliant on the script when I'm trying to listen to a video? A big reason why a lot of people are doing this practice is that we're not comfortable simply listening to an audio file. Sometimes we would feel a lot more secure if we have a written script with us in case there's a part that we don't understand or there's some information that we happen to miss in the audio. But doing that doesn't really help us improve our listening. Over time, we will become too reliant on the script. And basically, our brain will just get more and more lazy because it takes a lot more brain power to try to interpret what we're hearing compared with trying to understand what is on a piece of paper. It's similar to sometimes when we watch movies with subtitles for a long time, we become really, really uncomfortable when we watch a movie where subtitles are not available. So my suggestion would be start with listening only and trying to understand what you're hearing. Initially, it will be very difficult and it will be very uncomfortable, but once you get over the hurdle, things will get a lot easier over time. And then you will realize, you know what, I might not need the script after all. So, since there is some problems with this kind of practice, my suggestion is that both parts of the practice are good. We just need to separate them in order to maximize the benefits for each. When we decide to practice our listening, focus on the listening part only. Try to understand the listening material by forcing ourselves to dissect what is being said in the video. If the text turns out to be too difficult for you to understand, you can read a script first to make sure that you have a rough idea of what the text is mainly about before you move on to the listening part. So that will help you process the content that you're listening to and make it a little bit more doable for you. That said, I would almost always recommend selecting the English material, reading or listening according to your current language level. We're not going to benefit a whole lot if what we have selected is way too easy or way too difficult for us to understand.